Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is Franz, Sidney. So, welcome to our channel. Welcome to Create with Franz. And today we're going to talk about a problem that seems to be very, very widespread. You will not believe it. But have you ever heard of emetophobia, the fear of being sick? A fear of lots of other stuff because it's a anxiety disorder. Or have you had the problem that you have to do lots of things in a certain order for you to feel okay for going to bed, or you can't go to work unless you do something, or you can't get into the car unless you do lots and lots of steps, and it's becoming exhausted and tiring and makes you worried and terrified about everything. If that's the case, stay tuned because today we're going to talk to an expert, Helena Sterne, who is with us today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Franz. Lovely to be here.
Helena is here all the way from Wales, and this is my first program recorded from the US. So it's been a tough thing to organize all the timing from everyone. But she knows so much about it, and she uses so many techniques, including advanced conversational hypnosis and a lot more. Something called is it IEMT or something like that? Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
So yeah, I'm so curious to know more about that. And we do have about 30 minutes to delve into all these techniques and see exactly what are the symptoms. So what happens when a person has all these symptoms? Can you describe the symptoms a little bit better than me, a little bit more in detail? So how you feel?
Yes. Yeah, so one of my most recent clients came to me and she just had a constellation of symptoms going on. So she had
Mm,
emetophobia, so the fear of being sick. She had anxiety, health-related anxiety, but to be fair, anxiety over everything. She had uh, irritable bowel syndrome. She had OCD. And a number of other things as well. So one of the things that was going on was even if she was pegging out her washing on the line, it had to be done in certain orders. The pegs had to be certain colours. She told me that even when every time she went to the toilet, she had to make the sign of the cross because I said, "Why are you doing that?" And she said, "If I don't do that, then I don't know why I do it. But if I don't do it, I feel like some kind of higher being is going to do something to me, like something bad's going to happen." I said, "What's going to happen?" She's, "I don't know. I just don't know." So you can imagine how exhausting it would be to be doing this kind of behaviors like day in, day out for years on end.
gosh.
This is such a lovely woman as well, very clever woman, very kind woman. And in a nutshell, she had learned that she wasn't really worthy. She wasn't really good enough. She was one of 11 children. She grew up in an Irish Catholic household. So she was like the baby of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So she spent a lot of time on the floor when the rest of the working adults, they're all crammed in one house.
Ah,
She spent a lot of time on the floor being under prioritized, not really listened to. She felt like she was a nuisance. She's always in the way. So
yeah.
what happened was when she was about 5, she'd had to share a bedroom with two elder sisters who were, I think, like 20 odd years older than her. So she'd got used to being looked after by them, and that was just her life. And so she'd stay in bed with them, cuddle up with them. They were like her mum. One day, those sisters just weren't there. They just went, and no one told her why. So that little child's mind filled in all of the gaps. She knew they weren't dead eventually, but the terror that she experienced of being then on her own at night time, always having so many people and going just being on her own, this is what we found was the beginning of all of these neuroses, all of these disorders that she had
Mm.
created all these symptoms. So symptoms, we would never treat a symptom on its own because that's why people don't ever get results. We try to treat a symptom, and it's like the branches of a tree, we have to treat the roots.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so we found the root eventually, and we had to work on that. It was widespread roots, basically.
Wow, incredible. I do like this idea of course, people will know after 200 episodes, of really looking at why we are experiencing the symptoms and not just taking an antidepressant or anti-anxiety. Of course, they will do something to you. You will feel different inside. But it's just like, oh, the fire is going. I'm going to turn off the smoke alarm, but the fire is going. So you have to take away what is burning, the fuel, the air, and the oxygen for this fire, and the heat have to go away. And so the heat was there, all these emotions. And of course, when we are young, we had to make sense of life in a different way, so we only have a very little experience. And we have to, oh, maybe my dad went away because I wasn't tall enough, or maybe didn't love me because we were so many. I was just a nuisance because my mom had no time. And I remember I have a friend who was one of 9 children, and she always felt very neglected. I was back in Italy. And she always said, well, I never want to have children because you have to have a time to look after them. And when you're 9 children, you don't have a time. Of course, her mom found it
Mm.
really difficult. Some women manage, they arrange. And one of my friends told me, I just do like soldiers, all in line, but her husband was in the army. She had a lot of skills I don't have. So it's easy as a child, you grow up and you think, oh, I'm not good enough, I should be better. What can make me feel better and safe and protected? And she shared all this stuff. She didn't logically wake up and say, if I do the sign of a cross, I'm gonna. She didn't do that. It was all subconscious, very like automatic. How can I help myself? So I gather she has taken many hours or many weeks to find out all this, where the symptoms are coming from? Or did she actually already know deep down that was the reason, but you were there to help her to realize, yes, you're right?
I think that, she knew what her history was,
Mm.
but sometimes things seem obvious to us as therapists, but to the client, something that is incredibly obvious is hidden. So I just try not to make any assumptions of what they're thinking, what they're doing, and what they know. And I start from scratch and I just start investigating. And what I love to hear is when they say, I never thought of it that way before. Oh, I never realized that
Yes.
that's what I did. Because we can't, yes, we know that the core of all of these limiting beliefs are things like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, blah, blah, blah. But you cannot tell that person that's what it is. And so every single person's core reason is all completely different and unique. So it's once they have, our job is to help them to get to the point that it becomes revealed to them in the form of a realization.
Mm-hmm.
And that realization is what triggers a breakthrough. If I turned around and said to her what I thought all the problems and the answers were, no
Of
transformation,
course.
no breakthrough,
Yeah.
nothing, no results.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it. I think it's like we're kind of archaeologically digging together into these different layers, and we're just seeing what's happening. I like to have a kind of terrain where I'm not saying I'm going to heal you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, the other. What I am saying is let's work together and see what we can uncover. And it just takes pressure off both of us then. We're just inquiring. It's fascinating to see what happens. I love working with people.
Yes. And you made a good point in that we are working together to find out. You are not the healer. And,
Yes.
this has been expressed recently in some very much celebrity podcast, when we were saying, oh, you go to this, you go to that, you expect the therapist to be your healer. And actually, the therapist just knows how to guide you. And then you are doing the healing because the power is within us to um, work out all this stuff. And just knowing logically what happened is never enough. You sometimes need the work of a skilled person. This could be anything, NLP, coaching, could be hypnosis. I also hear that you have helped this lady using lots of techniques. Would you like to share? Because I'm sure the audience would love to know what you've done to help her to get to the point where she's managing the symptoms, she's feeling much better. So what is that you use? What's the secret?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a secret really. It's just that there's a different modalities that I like to use. Advanced conversational hypnotherapy is one of them. I did RTT, I did RTC, I've done IEMT. I have a background in acupuncture, 10 years as an acupuncture clinician. I love meditation, and I also run a trauma group too. So I just like to blend everything, and I love having different modalities because, as you'll know, what one works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. And you might think, oh, this modality is absolutely amazing. It just does not work on one person. So I love cherry picking different things, and really what it's about is connecting with that person as a human being, as a soul. I all think we're these souls. And the core of it all for me is love. And what's happened is a disconnection has taken place between us and that sense of connected beingness to, let's just say, our higher self. And another word could be God, or any other word that people would use. What I'm really interested in is helping people who have become disconnected from their true self, and I want to help to bring them back into their own body, so to anchor them back in. What I've noticed, having had this happen myself, so when I was much younger, I was scattered out of my body. I think now we would call it dissociation, but I had absolutely no clue what it was then. I just knew that I'd lost the connection that I did used to have with my higher self. And as a result, I was somewhere spatially outside of my physical body, and I could see myself, or not even necessarily visually see, but I could sense myself outside of my body, if that makes sense. And it was a very, very horrible place to be, because it's like being lost. There's no anchor, there's no belief, there's no hope, there's nothing. It's just like walking around in a daze like a zombie. So I started off life relatively early on at that point, reached a point when I was about 15 where I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I don't want to be on this planet. And I was thinking of, taking my own life. I then got to a point where, as I started thinking more seriously about it, this really kind of powerful thought came through to me, which was, yeah, but what if there was something out there that could really help you? And it was that single thought that chimed within my blood and my bones like a bell. And suddenly I was like, I dropped the idea of like leaving this earthly body. And I was like, I'm going to go on a mission to find what that thing is. And it did take me quite a lot. I mean, I got into meditation first, and then I got into acupuncture and studied that for a long time. And I realized how amazing it is. I realized what dissociation was. We call it like a Shen disturbance. It's like the spirit, not really a spirit, the essence, not really the essence, but it's that thing. It lives in the heart and in the blood. And it's kind of like it manifests through the eyes, really. When you see the light in someone's eyes, they say the light's on and no one's home when someone's dissociated. But this is called the Shen, the sparkly thing, like the spirit. And when that's not there, that is when we have become disconnected. And those are the people that I want to help, because I was, that person myself. Then last year, I experienced a hemorrhagic stroke, age 43, which turned my life upside down. It was so unexpected. You don't expect to have a stroke when you're that young. And I thought I was going to die. I was in hospital. I read one of the reports, and they must have made a mistake or something. I don't know what happened, but it said that I had blood clots all over my brain. So I was terrified to cough, to move, to sneeze, to, do anything. I was paralyzed down one side. The reason I'm saying this is because I was physically shocked outside of my body. So the first time it was emotionally, The second time, it was like a physical kind of whole body experience. And I have never, ever been more terrified in my life. And I remember thinking to myself, if I make it through, if I survive this, then I have to step up and I have to start helping people, because I cannot, getting emotional now. I can't let people feel this amount of fear. I want to provide a safe space for people, just to know that there is someone who really genuinely cares as a heart-centered person. And I have recovered so well, through my own faith. I'm not religious, but I am very spiritual and I tune into this energy all the time. And now what I want to do is help others with shock, trauma, accidents. So it's a kind of relatively broad, topic. There's a lot you can do within that. But that's where I'm at right now. So that's why I wanted to, come on this show and talk about it.
Yeah, that's great. And I know all the details about your experience. So we talked about it in the past. I don't know if you wanted to share why you had a stroke.
So I have no idea why I had the stroke. I mean, well, there are a number of things that could potentially have happened in terms of the medical field, let's say, but I don't know if I should go into that really, but it could have been an injury of some kind.
Yeah, it's a terrible moment when you are very young and you're suddenly crippled. You can't move, can't talk, can't breathe. Half of your body is not working. And I think the fear is a fear of death, but also is a fear of losing the sense of who you are, because we define who we are based on what we are able to do, right? What we like. And if you have a stroke and you suddenly cannot move, cannot act, cannot go to work, your life just changes overnight. So it must be anger, fear, frustration, confusion, desperation. So that's a lot of stuff. And that the thing that you say here, comparing here with the other story, is if we keep all these feelings bottled inside ourselves and not processing these feelings, they will make their way back to the whole body and they will express, as Monsley said, a very famous psychiatrist, they will express in organ dysfunction what we are not expressing in words. So there has to be the time in our life when we find a way to get the feelings out. And sometimes what happens is a lot of people have a problem, they feel inside there is something wrong, and they try to bandage, maybe with medication, or maybe we're talking about emotional problem, not functional problems, where there is a problem with your B12 or whatever. That's a different medical situation. So we're not talking about that. We're not talking about schizophrenia or other psychosis. We're talking about this. So anxiety, etc. And we somatize, don't we? We somatize it because the body is trying to say, I'm really angry. For example, a lot of angry people have a lot of liver dysfunction, and it's all there. So you have to realize, are you angry because of the liver, or is the liver, sometimes it's a chicken and egg situation. You have to go to a functional therapist and see. So it isn't a one size fits all medication or therapeutical approach. There are so many ways, but the important thing is not to dampen the feelings using the smoking, the drugs, the vaping, the alcohol and whatever, because they will only dump you for a little while and then you're back to the same problem. While instead we advocate in my podcast to go and find out what's actually going on. So you have much more chances to allow the body to let this stuff just literally flow out of you. Isn't that the feeling after hypnotic sessions, etc.? I hear people saying, I feel much better. I got this something that was stuck in here in my chest and I no longer feel it. It's gone. It was grappling with this weight. So it's very good to hear that it's possible. And let's talk a little bit about two things. I want to know a little bit more about your group. And I want to hear if you have any tips for my audience here. So do you want to start about your group? Tell me what you're doing there, because some people might want to join.
So I've started a free meditation group each week, which anybody is welcome to come to. Initially, it was going to be just for my clients to support them. And then I thought, well, I'm meditating anyway, so why not, then ask the clients? And then I thought, if the clients are too, let's just anybody can join. So the idea behind that as well was, if you're meditating on your own, it's like, well, that's great, but you've got only so much chi and connection that you can do on your own. But when it's a group of people, we can like leverage our energy together like a battery, like and amplify it. And we've had some wonderful set. They're different every single time. And then at the end, I just open it and if anyone can reflect on their experiences. So people say things like, yesterday we had someone say, oh, my hands felt absolutely massive. Or, my heart just opened. And then another time we've had someone said they connected to the energy of their dad and they could hear their dad say, I'm here, I'm here. And she said that meant for her that she was on the right track. And so everyone's experiencing it differently. I absolutely love doing those sessions because I think it's so healing for all of us. And because it's an abundant, infinite source of energy, it's like just tap in and tune in and do what you need to do. Obviously, we bring in a powerful intention with that as well. And I also have a 7 week deep release trauma group, which I'm running in cycles. So that one is for PTSD, CPTSD, emotional trauma, anything really where somebody is not connected to themselves anymore and they're dysregulated in some way. So usually it's like they just cannot sleep anymore, can't think straight. I call it like tired but wired. Um, Fright, jumpiness, all of those kind of things. I can't brain fog, all of those types of things. It doesn't even really matter. It's just like you just know that things aren't right. And it goes back to that thing of like, I don't feel like myself in it. Well, something's wrong and I just don't know what it is.
Mm.
Years ago, when I was an acupuncturist, and this is an example, somebody said to me, one morning I was going to university, I had my backpack on, I stepped down the step in a weird way. I have no idea what happened, but this jolt went through my whole body, and I've never, ever felt the same since. I've
Wow.
been to the doctors, I've been to they just want to give me pills. I don't want to take pills. I know it's got nothing to do with that. I just know that something's happened.
Mm.
And I said, no problem. And I treated her for shock with acupuncture, and we solved it very quickly. But, that person could have been left in the system. And had she been someone, and no judgment on the people who have taken antidepressants, because I've taken many of them in the past myself,
Of course.
but she could have gone down that route. And the next thing, the digestion stops working. The next thing, the bowels stop functioning properly. And then it's all just, you know. So as
That's
an
what I mean.
acupuncturist, it was very much working with organs, channels, energy system, very somatic. And now with that background knowledge, it's very much like more working in the mind as well. I mean, it's all mind body connection at the end of the day. So
Yeah. The mind is connected to
so
the body. So
absolutely, as you were saying earlier. And so the group I've made it as an introductory price of £111. So it could be very accessible to anybody who wants a container for someone to hold space for them.
it's
And that
110.
way,
Sorry, is it per month, per week, per session?
no, it's 111 for the whole 7 weeks plus lifetime access. So
Right?
what it consists of is, and it is a group, but I can't do this millions of times just on my own. So it's a group, and everyone can have their camera off if they want to, the mic's off. It's private. They just listen to lying down, head and neck supported, listen to my voice for 2 hours, go into a very deep theta level state where they can bypass all of the thinking mind and get into this wonderful theta level healing. And they can also access the subconscious mind and work with the subconscious mind to find out what's going on with certain parts within them that are causing them a load of trouble. So when people work with me, I have other programs to work one-on-one, etc. But this is the holding one where at least I know that everyone's got a safe space and they're being taken care of. So that helps me to feel good about the whole situation, if you see what I mean.
That's a great group. And also for those listening to us or watching us on YouTube, there will be full details in the description below, and you will see all the links and everything. So feel free, absolutely 100%, to contact Helena Sterne to find out more and see if you can join the waiting list to be part of this amazing group, which sounds very good to me. So well done for that. And did you have one tip to share? We are running out of time soon. So if you got a tip for a person who is living at that, they are feeling jungle, they are hypervigilant, their nervous system is gone, their sleep is not good, their mood is bad, they're feeling anxious, they might have OCD. What would be the first step that you can recommend? I want people to go home with something they can do, something actionable they can do today to start walking into freedom. What can you suggest?
I would say sit down, have your feet on the floor, have your palms upwards, close your eyes, soften your shoulders, and just breathe. Breathe in the way that you want to breathe to begin with. But the goal is that you're softening and you're not trying to do anything for once. Stand back from yourself trying and just observe what it feels like to breathe slowly and softly. But then you can breathe in through your nose. The thing is, it's so simple that people, it's too simple because people are like, oh, it's just breathing. It's like, yeah, but why are you not doing it right then? Soften it down, soften the shoulder earrings, I call them, just soften them down. And also check the stomach. Oftentimes it's like there's a tennis ball of tension in there. So just by scanning that area and pushing the stomach out very slightly, it's like, oh gosh, I was really holding on to so much tension in my shoulders and in my stomach. So body scan is a really lovely place to start. And yes, you might do it straight back in a minute's time. That's okay. Just do it again. And you'll go on, off, on, off, on, off. That's okay, but you're practicing.
That's a great beginning. And I think lots of us are very much into the idea that we have to be productive 100% of the time, every single day from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. We have to be going. And in the end, our body says we need to slow down. We're not designed for that.
I just want to say off the back of that, in Chinese medicine, we've got the yin and yang symbol, the great Tai Chi. We've got yin, we've got yang. We can't be yang, 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 yang all the time, doing, because we just can't. If I said, just breathe in, just breathe in, just breathe in, just breathe in, you have to breathe out at some point. You can't keep going around the track. You can't keep driving without your petrol. So think of resting as active rest. It's necessary. Think of the seasons. We can't just have constant summer. We have to have winter. It looks like everything's dead and dying, but that's the potential for spring. It's powerful, natural energy that's necessary to keep the cycle working, isn't it?
Well, it's a renewing energy. And I think we underestimate the importance of resting, sleep, and just sit down and thinking, because we overthink, we say, oh, I'm just wasting time. But actually, if we don't stop, our health will eventually stop us, because either we are unable to sleep, or we're unable to think, or we might be tense, we might be irritated. How do you say irritated? Yeah. And very snappy towards others because we didn't have the time to really think through what we have to do, which I think that's why nature is so important, why important to step out of all the devices and then go there and just listen to the birds or whatever, even the sound of the water of the rain. And I had lots of practice in Great Britain with the sound of the rain, and it's so relaxing, isn't it? Even a nice little thunderstorm is like shh.
One more thing, now you've mentioned thunderstorms that someone could do today if they really wanted to, is like have an Epsom salt bath. Like that's magnesium. It's so wonderful for the muscles, the body, the mind, helping you to sleep. So chuck like 500 grams, a proper therapeutic dose into a hot bath. And people will say, oh, I don't have a bath, I only have a shower. That's fine. Just get like a foot soak, just get a bowl. And, you know, I would a cup, 2 or 3 proper good cups into that foot soak and just relax and just, you know, the pores will absorb what they need. So that is a really lovely way. Another tip. So magnesium, so good.
Thank you. There was an extra tip, totally unexpected and absolutely welcome. So thank you so much, Helena, for being with us. Guys, listen to Helena Sterne. She knows it all. She knows how to get out of here. Well, no, nobody knows anything. That was a mistake, but she knows
I definitely don't know
how to get you out of this wild place where you're like the prisoner of your own mind and your own fear, which is very, very common to suffer from anxiety. So thank you so much for your time with us. And I hope
Thank you so much, Franz.
maybe I'll see you again in some future for another episode or something else. Who knows? If you guys want to hear again from Helena, please tell us and ask questions under the links and everything. Ask, and you shall be answered to. There will be answers, and absolutely, we wanted to be happy to find your balance, whatever that means to you. So bear in mind, I'm in the US, and Helena is in Wales. And so bear in mind time zone and everything for our messages to come through, but you're welcome to share this episode with anyone who might be suffering from this terrible condition of anxiety. And hopefully that helps them to have some hope. That's my point, to have hope for healing. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. And I hope to see you all next week for more episodes recorded from a wild west here in Wyoming and with amazing guests worldwide who care about your health. So take care, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.